Yo, what's up? It's your boy Domuto back with another video. Yes, sir. Today we're watching SethTheProgrammer, ranking all Kages from weakest to strongest. Now, I always thought who was the strongest to weakest. Of course, we know who the strongest are. But who's, you know what I'm saying? Who's in that middle? You know what I'm saying? Like where you put what's that nigga name? Onoichi? The nigga that fought, who held up the planetary joint in Naruto, and during the war, whatever. The old man. Where you put Gara? You know what I'm saying? Where you put, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of Kage. So I'm kind of interested in seeing like where you put who at. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
Hello everyone, it is your host, SethTheProgrammer, and today we're going to be going over the Kage ranking list in Naruto. Before going over the list, it's important to make a few notes about the vagueness of some of the Kage. In particular,
we don't know a lot about the Kages.
Like,
you know
what have they even done? Like, you don't even really know. There's not much to go on. So, vague statements will be used to scale anybody who's too featless or unknown. Next, it's important to note that the verse has a bit of a power cliff as it goes on, and we get more into the shonen glow boy trope, you know, like Super Saiyan glow kind of thing. Right. As an example, the entire series is hyping up how insane it is to cut a lightning bolt, and how it's only an insane rumor, at least in the words of Sakura, or how Black Zetsu is screaming that Itachi can't possibly avoid lightning, and then in the next few arcs, they're just like light beam, you know, at each other, so not really that small of a power cliff. So obviously some characters are going to get into the cliff and some others are not, and I will try to keep that in mind. This seems rather basic, but there's always that guy in the comments. The list will only be going over the 5 great shinobi villages, the village hidden in the leaves, the stone, the mist, the sand, and the clouds, and the respective Kage. No Danzo since he was never officially elected. Okay. The list will also be going over their overall power as a shinobi, or caliber of shinobi, not just raw strength per se. As an example, Orochimaru and Jiraiya scale shinobi this way. They say, for instance, Kakashi is the same tier as Kabuto, or actually it's vice versa, that Kabuto is the same tier as Kakashi, Land of Waves. Right. And then Orochimaru's like, hey, Tsunade, you'll never kill me, you're only as strong as Kakashi. Obviously, he's not saying that Tsunade punches as hard as Kakashi, he's saying that Tsunade is the same caliber of shinobi in combat as Kakashi. So that is how we will be ranking the list. Seems a little bit arbitrary, but as I go along, you will see for yourself. Other than that, I think it's important to also note that I cannot win with this video. I will not win, no matter what I say. For instance, if I said Tobirama beats Minato, would you dislike the video? If I said Hiruzen beats Hashirama, would you dislike the video? And vice versa. You can see where I'm coming from. There's a lot of ground to cover, and there's like over 20 people on the list. So, without further ado, I hope you enjoy.
Some people say Hiruzen was probably one of the strongest ones.
Starting off with 22, 21, and 20, all get a draw for being equally featless. Surprising. They consist of first Tsuchikage Ishiwaka, the first Raikage A, and the third Mizukage. The only credit here is that Ishiwaka created some forbidden jutsu or held some that created problems in the Boruto anime. And while we're ignoring Boruto, so no Boruto Kage, I'll clarify and say that we have absolutely no idea to what extent Ishiwaka could use these forbidden jutsu to begin with, so it doesn't really matter. Number 19 is first Kaze Kage Reto. While Kaze Kage Reto is rather unknown as well, he's a tad different from the other Kage. While the other Kage are hinted at by Madara and Hashirama to have created their villages to counter the power of the new Leaf Village and its clans, the Sand was a little bit different. When it comes to the Sand, Reto is the only Kage described as using absolute power to force the clans in the Sand to work together, whereas for the other Kage it may have been simply more political. This is enough unironically to put Reto above the other 3, as that's all we know about him. Number 18 is first Mizukage Byakuren. Byakuren is the most interesting of the first Kage despite Hashirama, simply because at the time it's noted that with his skill he was the soldier of legend that pushed his village forward until it was recognized as one of the Great Five. This seems similar to Reto, except here it's noted that Byakuren is the reason it's considered such a formidable village, and he's the only first Kage described as a legend due to his skills. So he's pretty much Reto tier lore-wise, but better. Number 17 is second Kaze Kage Shimon. Now, Byakuren might be higher than Shimon, I will clarify later, but for the moment, Byakuren was mainly a soldier of legend during his time, as the databook is going over the first eras, I put Kazekage Shimon above because it's implied Shimon is the reason that such powerful puppeteering jutsus in the control of the Ichibi or the One Tails even exist. It's also described that he is a fond proponent of having people learn jutsus from the past, and is the reason the next generation was so powerful. This is interesting because this would more than likely be the cause of the third Kazekage, and so forth. So like I said, Byakuren could be here instead. It's not too important. I simply put Shimon here because he has more effect on the future. So from here, we kind of get into the Kage that are more well-known, and this is where the dislikes will probably start coming in. But 5th, Mizukage Mei. Mei is a Kage who earned her position through her intense abilities, meaning she was more than likely stronger than anybody else in her village, obviously. She has acid that can melt away Sasuke's Susanoo, and lava style that could damage Madara if he didn't dodge or avoid it. And she also has water style that could also counter Edo Madara's fire styles. She was also able to survive multiple encounters with Edo Madara and his wood clones, albeit she did the worst of all the Kage present. It's still a feat.
She did.
She was also able to survive an encounter against Black Zetsu, although he didn't have a host, which is rather underrated considering Black Zetsu's later feats in the war, and is more than likely greater than Guru Zetsu level status, who with Yamato's body can make the Shinobi Alliance tier Buddha statue that dominated everyone. Black Zetsu also has an insane intelligence and massive prep on the entire Shinobi verse, so it's better than anything the previous Kage are known for. Number 15, 4th Kazekage Rasa. Rasa is interesting because he's most well known for constantly and literally brawling and subduing Shukaku with his gold dust over and over again. His other feats would consist of stalemating many of Gaara's sand tsunamis with his jutsu, despite the fact that he was Edo and weakened. His gold dust would also reach their destinations faster than Gaara's in the anime, which is interesting considering that the gold dust attacks should be heavier and harder to throw around than Gaara specifically made light sand. Since Rasa is even stronger than his Edo, he should at least be able to perform somewhat similarly as Gaara did in his prime against Edo Madara. Gaara doing better than Mei rather consistently and also facing off against Edo Gengetsu, who is one of the most powerful Kage of all time. Of course, Gaara gets stronger than when he fought Rasa, so that's why he's not this low on the list, but that is something to note. Number 14 is the 3rd Kazekage. I want to emphasize here that a fact could be higher for the 3rd Kazekage exists, as unfortunately all we know about him is that he lost to Sasori and should be stronger than Rasa and started Shippuden Gaara that fought Deidara, at least in the words of the village. And
losing to Sasori is kinda... Sasori's strong. But losing to Sasori you should be kind of low. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know. I think he might be higher than Gaara's dad. I don't know.
Granny Chio.
I don't know.
Sasori beating him being especially bad since his only battles are him not going all out, and we never learn how truly strong he is. So we never actually see his full abilities. So for now, higher than Rasa is a very safe place to put him, and any higher is just weird headcanon. Number 13 is the 5th Hokage, Tsunade. Oh, whew, 13 for Tsunade. That's not going to be good. Tsunade has a pretty powerful arsenal overall, and did better than Gaara and Mei against Edo Madara. She also has great feats in the war overall. Many tend to look down on her due to her base being about as powerful as Land of Waves Kakashi, in the words of Orochimaru, perhaps weaker in her prime. However, her 100 healing state has consistently shown that it survives the power cliffing of the series. She is physically stronger than the 4th Raikage, with the 4th Raikage being called the strongest in his village even compared to Perfect Jinchuriki Killer B, pre-Ravine training at least, which is overall an insane level of power that the others on this list don't really have going for them. Feat-wise, she's doing better than the others. The reason she's not higher is that she unfortunately is not nearly as fast as the Raikage in combat, and is even impressed with Naruto keeping up with the Raikage's lesser stage 1 lightning cloaks, let alone version 2. During the Madara battle, she also showed endurance and durability problems that unfortunately roadblock her from being higher. So her durability is not very high, she's getting cut through like butter, and her insane chakra reserves weren't really holding up when she was getting like cut in half. Unfortunately, this is where she stops. Now this one is probably the most interesting Kage, I think, at least scaling wise, and I think he's kind of untouched, is 4th Mizukage Yagura. The 4th Mizukage is unique because he's not only a Kage, but he's also a perfect Jinchuriki with rather good hacks and feats. When he was reanimated, he did rather well against KCM Naruto and Killer B, although it should be noted that Yagura was amped by Obito's Rinnegan and Sharingan, at least in the words of Killer B. I would argue it didn't really change all that much, however. In the anime, it's shown that Yagura actually battled Itachi and his partner Juzo and almost killed both of them, This is a much younger Itachi with less obvious ailments who recently pointed and basically one-hit KO'd Orochimaru, getting blasted back and almost killed by Yagura's coral jutsus and Biju bombs to the point that Itachi had to awaken the Amaterasu after Juzo died to stop him and then flee from the scene. Defeating Juzo is impressive because he's an Akatsuki member, and all Akatsuki members are selected with the idea of battling Biju in mind, showing the absolute prominence of Yagura's mastery and abilities normally. Yagura also has the water release water mirror technique, which creates a clone of equal power of whoever it sees to attack, which pretty much hard counters and outscales Tsunade and many others who are physically based. So not only is he insanely powerful, he's also insanely fast, being able to shove around a healthier beyond Orochimaru level Itachi and counter KCM Naruto, but also well hacks. If you exclude the anime, once again, I'd argue not really much would change, although canonicity of the anime is debatable, and origin backstories are rather useful for vague characters, considering Kishimoto has been known to help the anime extend from the manga sometimes, like in the Sakura love letter scene. Yagura is definitely a character that could be much higher, and I'll explain why. But I feel like giving him anime feats was already enough benefit of the doubt, as well as his speed, which is only really shown as an amped Edo. I'll go over where I think he could be if you really jerked him off, but other than that, we'll move on.
Okay.
Number 11 is 5th Kaze Kage Gaara. Gaara above Tsunade, oh man.
Yeah,
this ranking for Gaara might seem odd at first considering what I said earlier, but he's actually this high due to his feats later in the war, in which he starts displaying better feats and a few new techniques. While he did better than Mei versus Madara, that overall wasn't as impressive as he was later slapped around and was outdone by Inoki, the Raikage, and Tsunade. However, in the late war, as I said before, he shows new moves, such as his sand paralysis, a technique that is powerful enough to pierce a live Madara that surpassed Edo Madara in the words of Hashirama, and was taking attacks from the Biju without much damage until they all combined their attacks, to also paralyzing and restricting his movement. Now that's the important part. This is an insane feat because Madara, the second he was brought back to life, instantly broke out of Hashirama's deity gates that were strong enough to hold down the Ten Tails. He also has a decent hand in helping the Kaze fight against Ten Tails Madara later on as a support, and overall simply outdoes Tsunade with his hacks by the end of the war. He should also be considerably faster and more reserved, whereas Tsunade is always ready to take damage to get closer and be unable to dodge attacks. Gaara is usually able to defend most attacks from Madara. Even when he was losing, he was still defending himself, and would be able to paralyze and seal Tsunade if he really had to due to his later showings.
Right outside the top
Number
10.
10 is the second Raikage. This is where the video gets a little spicy, but the second Raikage is impressive because he survived an ambush by Ginkaku and Kinkaku that apparently heavily damaged and near-death Tobirama, while Tobirama and him were targeted at a peace summit. I'll go over more about Tobirama later, as Tobirama with prep is much more powerful than base Tobirama, but essentially, Tobirama during the war has great speed feats and a chakra so powerful that it makes everyone around him antsy, such as EMS Sasuke, Orochimaru, and the Kage, although this could simply be because they're simply nervous about having to suddenly throw down with an Edo Tensei Kage, who they're all just trying to talk to. EMS Sasuke being a character who could rival KCM Naruto and tank the Ten Tails Cataclysm and save the whole alliance, and with Tobirama being one of the 4 pillars strong enough to make a barrier around the Ten Tails. Unfortunately, the second Raikage's lore is too vague to really say anything else about him, so you could argue he's much higher or lower depending on your views of the summit and base Tobirama. Tobirama, while normally should be around the tier of the second Raikage, with prep is his own animal. With prep, he has numerous things he can do with Edo Tensei and his own Edo, which would mainly include the tandem paper bomb that even Hashirama thought was at least a valid strategy against Obito, that they should try it. He's also able to tag and react to many of...
Wait. Kakashi stronger than Tobirama? Kakashi? Is Kakashi stronger than Tobirama? Yeah, if he got the Sharingan. I don't know. Is he? I think Kakashi's next. Kakashi gotta be next, don't he? Or would he have the third Raikage next? Or the fourth? I don't know.
Obito's attacks with his markings, although at the end of the day, none of these had any effect. He's a very big talk character, but what did that do though? Whenever you see Tobirama do anything, it's like, but what did that do though? What did Tobirama do? He's mainly a support character, unfortunately. And Hashirama's approval of his strategy at least shows its promise, as well as Tobirama's at least good speed. Although it should be noted that Tobirama's body flicker, which is basically movement speed, is slower than Minato's, as well as he himself states.
Yeah.
And that the 4th Raikage is a rival to the Yellow Flash's speed in the data book, although it's hard to say exactly what that means. Tobirama's speed feats are only really compared to Minato when he is dazed and out of it, as I described in my Minato power scale, which you should watch after this video. And other than that, there's not really much to go on. Tobirama fans, I'm sorry, you know, if I wanted likes, I'd put Tobirama in the top 5 at least. Yeah. And I know this is the most controversial part of the video, and I'm really not happy about it. I was literally talking to some of my friends. I'm like, please, I need to get Tobirama higher, please. But the arguments really don't hold up. Everything you say about Tobirama, it's kind of just, but what did that do though? It's very valid. It's a very valid criticism of Tobirama. He's one of the coolest Kage.
What hurts Tobirama is how he died, right? With the Genkaku and how he died. Because most people think how he died was pretty weak. You know what I'm saying? He died to some weak niggas, you know what I'm saying? So that what hurts Tobirama really, mainly. That's like the main reason Tobirama is really, really low. And I think Tobirama probably is pretty strong. I mean, you know, I don't know. Because he created all the jutsus and stuff, but hey.
Very smart, has the coolest appearance, but he just really didn't do anything. Got bodied by Ginkaku and Kinkaku at the Peace Summit, and then lost to Ginkaku and Kinkaku and their unknown Shinobi tracking unit, which everyone says is S-class, but I haven't seen proof of that. Other than that, that's really it. Some people like to say, oh, well, Tobirama, you know, he scales to Izuna, and Izuna is the equal of Madara in this flashback. But then you have to realize, oh, this is Obito's flashback of Madara versus Izuna, and this is not at all what happened, because we see the real flashback, and they're not at all equal, and this is never described again. Only in Obito's interpretation was that ever described. So even then, Tobirama is never described as an equal to Madara, as well as the fact that it should be noted that Madara then says, oh, Tobirama used to be the fastest shinobi ever, but then it's also like, what if they're just talking about after Hashirama and he died? They don't have to be alive for Tobirama to be the fastest of his era, which is just one of the many lore problems they have. There's also the feat of Tobirama shooting Senbon needles out of his mouth at Madara, and Madara blocks them with the Susanoo arm. Now, some people were like, oh, well, Madara attempted to block it, but it was hinted at earlier that Madara was not going to be taking risks with any more jutsu. After Gaara paralyzed him, he got smacked around by the Bijou. He was like, okay, I'll fight more elegantly. I'm not going to play around like that anymore. So him blocking was just more so an extension of that dialogue. Not really because Tobirama is particularly powerful. So while I like Tobirama, and I know that's going to be a big deal, he can't really be much higher. Hopefully my explanation will be good enough later. The 3rd Raikage. He was able to compete with KCM Naruto's Shadow Clone and even take a Rasen Shuriken without serious damage in Edo. Okay. Rasen Shurikens being able to even damage the Nine Tails they hit directly, although not too much effect. He's known for stalemating the 8 Tails in one instance, however, that actually isn't really a good feat. It's a better feat to note that he always subdued the 8 Tails after it rampaged after this and was too powerful for anybody to even stop, casually overpowering and busting out of Gaara's attacks and so on. The reason subduing the 8 Tails is not really impressive is because Bijou are weaker when they don't have a host. This is described. So the 8 Tails is in kind of a nerf state compared to when he's in Killer B. So it's better to note that he bodied the 8 Tails consistently after this rather than stalemated him that one time. That's not a good feat. Ginkaku and Kinkaku also respected the 3rd Raikage's brand quite a bit, showing that even the duo that would constantly harass the 2nd Hokage.
I don't know. The feat of him fighting the 8 Tails for... Oh, wait. Oh, no. My fault. Well, he hold off like a. What did he hold off like a whole army or some shit for like 3 days or some shit, or was the 8 Tails 3 days? I don't know. I forgot.
And Raikage respected him. In the end, only his own stamina and attacks ever hurt him, meaning the 8 Tails could never even damage him with anything it tried. Meaning the 3rd Raikage has top tier speed, durability, and attack potency few others actually do. This is actually where Yagura could also go, as we talked about earlier, as Yagura not only is a perfect Jinchuriki, but his water mirror that creates an attacking equal clone of whoever it sees is literally the hardest direct counter to the 3rd Raikage I've ever seen. Because he is pretty much like Raikage level reaction speed, at least from what we've seen if you wank him, which we are. So, say he sees the 3rd Raikage, he pulls out the water mirror, and the Raikage just, a clone of him comes out, and they just slice through each other. That's pretty much what would happen. Yagura could actually be here on the list, and it wouldn't even be that big of a problem, but like I said, it would be highballing Yagura. Number 7 is the 4th Raikage. Oh. Now, this is like, wait a minute. 4th Raikage above 3rd Raikage? Excuse me, Mr. Programmer. A lot of people really think that 3rd Raikage is really cool, which I agree. However, when it's looked at critically, a lot of his feats don't actually really mean anything. So the 4th Raikage overall has better standings than the 3rd due to lore. The 3rd Raikage would struggle to subdue the 8 tails all the time, whereas the 4th Raikage was stronger than the perfect Jinchuriki of it when he was made the Raikage. And while the 3rd Raikage has good feats against KCM Naruto, this is a shadow clone of Naruto, whose power has been decreased, so it's a tad unquantifiable how much power he had. The 8-tail scaling seems to be more concrete in the end, and the 4th Raikage was going to personally fight the 3rd Raikage himself if nobody stopped him, at least showing his confidence as well as respect. The 4th Raikage also has good feats later in the war where he faces Guru Yamato without even using his lightning cloak. Guru Yamato being a character that is stalemating the whole alliance, which is an insane feat beyond anything the 3rd has really shown or have stated for himself. This possibly shows that the 4th, if anything, has grown stronger as the war has gone on and his battles versus many legendary opponents like Madara ensues, similar to Gaara. He is also stated to have speed rivaling the Yellow Flash in the data book, but as I said earlier, it's hard to say how much this really means and what era of Minato it's referring to, as Minato has speed feats that outshine the 4th Raikage by a good bit. It might just be saying that the 4th Raikage has equal movement speed or maybe attacking speed, but Minato could still technically have better reactions and that wouldn't change the statement, so it could still be valid. So pretty much a good way to look at it is 4th Raikage is rivaling the perfect Jinchuriki 8 tails. 3rd Raikage, he's a little bit above the 8 tails normally. And a lot of people are like, wait a minute, but didn't B beat up the Raikage in that scene when Naruto was trying to escape? And it was like, yes, he did overpower his lariat. However, the Raikage also was not at full power. And it was literally stated right after the Raikage slaps B in the face. He's like, all right, I'm going to kill Naruto. Then B's like, oh, now he's at full power. So B never beat full power Raikage. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. All right, now we're getting to the big boys. The big boy Kages. Top 6. Now, I know you're like, why top 6? Now, I really love the idea that Inoki, the 3rd Tsuchikage, is number 6 on the list because he's just such a cool character. He literally caught a fucking meteor that came down with 10 to the 27 joules of force, as I showed in my Madara versus Akatsuki video, and then had a second meteor come from geostationary orbit, or the asteroid belt, and then slap him directly in the face while everyone else ran away, and they all almost died anyway, but Inoki didn't, even though he was literally hit by it directly. Inoki also vaporized all of Madara's Susanoo and did the best versus Madara, and Madara's like, alright, Inoki's carrying this team. He's way too powerful. He then flies out and carries an island. Like, he just flies and carries an island, which is an insane feat of kinetic energy. I've seen calcs on it as well. Not going to go too much detail, but it is just something to note. He also has particle style, which is one of the most OP jutsu in the verse. Tsuchikage.
Alright, because, look, if I can guess the rest of the list correctly, if I'm guessing correctly, Kakashi should be next, right? I don't think Seth think Hiruzen or Hashirama, whatever, is stronger than, is weaker than Kakashi. So Kakashi's next, right? Look, I love Kakashi. One of my favorite characters. Did a lot. But to be honest, you can put Kakashi at number 8. At number 8. Cause what Inoki and the 4th Raikage did, I don't know. I don't think he can do that. I don't think Madara is putting up a fight against that. I don't think Kakashi is putting up a fight against Madara like that, like Inoki did. You know what I'm saying? With MS, I don't even think
Kage Mu was kind of like Inoki. Like, you know, I have particle style. I will bomb that whole platoon of Shinobi and they can't stop me. And whereas the Raikage was getting jerked off for killing 10,000 Shinobi and dying, Inoki and Mu were like, we'll just vaporize them. So it is kind of notable there. And Inoki was there versus Guru Yamato, and he was still around. He does have stamina problems, however, he does have an insane willpower that kind of lets him push through it. It's kind of weird, but he definitely deserves number 6, and there's not really anything any of the other characters can do. In terms of speed, he's able to actually react along with the Raikage. So he gets on the Raikage's back, and he lightens the Raikage to amp his speed, yet Inoki and the Raikage are still reacting to each other's like compliments. It's not really out of Inoki's character to be able to react to things at that level.
Right.
Now, number 4 and number 5, I kind of hinted at it, is second Tsuchikage Mu and second Mizukage Gengetsu. Now, Gengetsu is a little bit more debatable, but Mu was basically bodying Inoki while he was in Edo. Most people think Edo have infinite chakra due to a statement. However, that statement was never backed up
Kakashi
again.
not on the list?
We saw numerous times like Edo Minato ran out of chakra, or Tobi Rama and Hashirama like we don't have enough chakra. Blah, blah, blah. You get it. The Edos don't really actually have infinite chakra. It was just a theory, and it was debunked. This is also shown when Mu splits his body down the middle, and he divides his power and chakra in half. Now, Mu was taking on Inoki as an Edo, so when he was alive, he'd be even stronger. And Inoki, in his old age, was actually probably stronger than when he was younger, and this is stated by Madara, so not really much to go off of there. Gengetsu rivaled Mu, at least in some of the franchise. They killed each other in the Storm series.
Naruto's not gonna be on
Even if
the
that's
list,
not canon, Gengetsu still did good versus Gar and Inoki, therefore his rating wouldn't really change all too much. And he also thought that calling Mu the strongest was an insult, so he kind of thought he himself was that level. So even if you don't consider Storm, which is fine, it's a game, it's still not really too far-fetched. Number 3 is the 4th Hokage, Minato. Now, the reason Minato is so high on this list is due to many reasons I listed in my Minato video, which you should definitely watch. You know, I've only hinted at it like 2 to 3 times. He has faster body movement speed than Tobirama, in Tobirama's own words, and can dodge attacks from the full Nine Tails and take on an opponent that Minato thought Naruto would need full mastery over the half of the Nine Tails to take on. He has the AP to slice through a Raikage that was considered the strongest in his village when he became the Raikage, and when his father died, even though Killer B was around. Meaning Minato could have sliced through a Shinobi stronger than a perfect 8 Tails Jinchuriki, or his partial transformations, and we've seen what partial transformations of a perfect Jinchuriki can do, such as when Killer B is able to catch a Bijou Dama from the Nine Tails with a partial transformation. He has Uzumaki tier sealing jutsu that could seal away anybody weaker than the Nine Tails and has mastery over teleportation and so on. He also has access to Sage Mode, and while he doesn't use it, Sage Mode would definitely keep Minato in a top tier spot due to its reaction speeds being even greater than KCM, in the words of Naruto, or QB Chakra Mode, which would really complement Minato's react, teleport, attack, seal fighting style. So even if, say, the 4th Raikage had equal speed to Minato, if he gave Minato his full power, his Sage Mode, he would still be faster, which we are considering for this list. And then obviously KCM2 Minato is just a god. That doesn't even need to be mentioned. Versus characters like the 3rd Raikage or the 4th Raikage, he would have the reaction speed to react to them, tag them, and the ability to seal them, more than likely damage them with his normal attacks. He was literally going to cut through the Raikage with a kunai, let alone say it was Sangon or something of the sort. So it's not too far-fetched for Minato to be this level in almost pretty much all stats. He really doesn't have any durability feats though. Although he did, you know, kind of tank the Nine Tails claw going through his body and stayed on his feet. I don't know if that's a feat, but that's something to consider.
It's something, though.
Now, finally, you have the 1st and 2nd, which is 1st Hokage Hashirama and 3rd Hokage Hiruzen.
On the list.
I have a Hiruzen video that will explain this much better than I will in this video, which I recommend as well, as a Minato video. Now, Hashirama, he can make big trees, really strong tree. You know, his tree beat people. His tree beat Madara. No, Hashirama tree beat all Bijou. Hashirama strong. Strong Kage with big tree muscles. Alright, so we get it. Hashirama is probably the strongest. Now, there is a little bit of contention though, because Hiruzen, from what we know, we only know about what he did when he's old. So, when he's old, Hiruzen still was going to take on Orochimaru and slap him around, and Orochimaru had a parallel with Hiruzen with how Orochimaru wanted to learn all of the jutsu in the world, because that's how Hiruzen became a god of Shinobi and the strongest Kage, and how he wanted to live forever and remain eternally youthful because of his parents and because of Hiruzen dying to age, who was a character he looked up to. So it makes sense that Orochimaru would have this parallel and have massive respect for the strongest Shinobi he knows of, which was Hiruzen in his heyday. Now, all we know about Hiruzen is that he's considered a bigger talent than Tobirama in the data book. Even as an old man, he's stronger than Tobirama, has better feats versus the God Tree, versus the Guru statue, and so on. But in his prime, it's like, okay, what do we...
Sorry, the video cut off at the end. Fuck. Anyway, if you like my reaction, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and all that. But yeah, like I was saying, I was looking stupid. I'm thinking Kakashi in the fucking video, man. But anyway, peace.